my beats, they are hard.
All right. Hello and happy new year. Welcome to another live episode of the BCSN SportsWrap. It's Brian Fulford. No AD Drew tonight, but joining me is our young brother on the rise, JaH'son Hobbs. Ja, what's good, man? How you doing, man? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too, man. Just trying to stay warm. Temperature dropped out of nowhere. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I was gonna say where, and again, you're in the A, right?
As of now, I'm in Columbia, South Carolina.
Oh, you're in Columbia. Okay, so the temp, what's the temp like up there?
Like 40, but I'm used to 60, 70, so this is terrible for me.
Woo. Good gracious. Yeah, indeed, boy. That's tough. That's tough. Well, you know, man, look, we got I think I heard on the weather we got a bit of a warm front coming in the Orlando area. So I'll probably get a chance to enjoy some maybe 60-degree weather, lows in the 50s, maybe get as high as 70 something. But you know, we had our week or two of winter, and now we move into we get fall again / maybe a little bit of spring, you know. But this is why I moved down here, man. This is why I haven't left yet. So, but at least you're not dealing with any snow, man. Just consider yourself fortunate. You're not dealing with any snow.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, hello and happy new year to everybody. Got a few friends already joining in. Mary 305, hello, happy new year to you. Emmett Jones, happy new year to you. Walter Harley, happy new year to you. You know, and I'm sure there'll be some other folks that are coming in. You may be watching us on any of our platforms, on socials, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Black College Sports Network, or you might be watching us on the YouTube feeds, of course. My JBN online on YouTube. Instagram Live is actually pumping out right now. I think I got all the streams up. So hello to everybody watching us on the Black College Sports Network and on the BCSN SportsWrap page. Happy New Year to everybody. Good to see our good friends joining in. So, I was debating. I had to go change shirts for a minute, Ja, because I had on, you saw what I had on earlier. I had on my Colts shirt, and I realized I'm not starting the year on this show in a losing shirt. I'm not going to start in a losing shirt. And I'm so glad the season ended the way it did. A failed pitchy woo-woo. Shout out to SVP. And it turns into points. I mean, we fought brilliantly until we just did what the Colts do. And so I'm so thankful that the season is over, Ja.
I should have changed right with you. I got a Georgia hoodie on. You saw what happened to us the other night.
Woo. Is the SEC dead? I don't know. You know, I mean, the SEC is no longer potentially, Ja, you know, the Big Ten could potentially, for the third straight year, have the national champion in college football. I mean, they're 50% of the teams remaining are from the Big Ten. Although I still don't consider Oregon a Big Ten school, but anyway.
Oh no, that's a Pac. They're still in the Pac-12 as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, that's yeah. But anyway, and Indiana, my home state, we are a football state. We've conquered, we've beaten the SEC schools, we've beaten the state of Alabama, we've outshined the state of Florida, so far. We'll see. But I don't know, man. What's the vibe? It's tough out there for them SEC folks.
I don't do what most people do. I don't root for SEC teams outside of Georgia. I can't bring myself to do so. So I am hoping Indiana goes on and takes it all. It'll be cool to see a different champion, especially with the turnaround that Signetti has helped them achieve. So, I hope they go and take it all.
Good to see folks slowly starting to stream in. On today's show, we're going to get you caught up on some of the latest HBCU football coaching hires. Also, the transfer portal opened on Friday. It's open for a solid 2 weeks. And I think I heard a report, Ja, that some 7,000 students, young people, whatever, are already in the portal already. 7,000. Ja, I haven't done the math, but it sounds like there's going to be some people that are going to be without a home that may have jumped in the portal.
100%. I don't understand the personally, if I were in their position, I wouldn't hop into the portal unless I knew 100% I had a home, especially if my spot is secure on the team I'm currently with. There's no way. But I also applaud them for going and taking a chance on themselves. But, just more power to them.
Yeah. It is interesting. Let me see. What is this? Jimmy Mack, shout out Jimmy Mack, said 20% of all college football players are in the portal. That's 1/5. But it led me to this thought, and this is where I'd like to kind of start the show, Ja. Because I know right now with the portal, and we'll hopefully get into talking about some of the HBCU players that are in the portal. I mean, there's a good number of names, big time names of guys who are in the portal. Some schools, a lot of schools are losing guys. I don't know, has anybody done the full count of who's losing guys? Because I think that gets people fired up and frosty when you start talking about who all's leaving. And I applaud. That's, to me, this is the new norm of what coaches are going to have to deal with. And I love what some coaches are putting out there. They're making their rules and guidelines very clear. I.e. Tremaine Jackson. I love his Twitter. I love his Twitter handle. Maybe we can go through some of those and some of his rules of the portal. But it got me to thinking about this world of college athletics that we're in now, Ja. And I got to thinking about, maybe it's just because of my age, but I got to thinking about the past 50 years. And there's always change that's occurring in athletics, especially in the modern era, right? And I got to thinking about what have been some of the major changes to the sport of college athletics that when it first happened, there was an instant reaction to, oh man, the world is coming to an end, or this is going to change for the worse. College athletics are going to go south, or it's never going to be like it was. Well, no, I mean, this is further than 50 years out, but desegregation, talk about how that changed college landscapes, right? I mean, effectively changing the talent pool that we saw at HBCU schools. All of a sudden, now young African-American kids are everywhere, boys and girls everywhere, all over the country, where over 50 years ago, you couldn't go somewhere. I mean, so we needed our Gramblings, we needed our Florida A&Ms, we needed, you know, those blue blood programs, Tennessee States that we talk about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got to thinking, what are some events that have occurred in college athletics that changed the landscape? And I started kind of doing my research because the first thing that kind of came to my mind as a basketball guy, John, first thing that came to my mind was in the mid 80s. There were 2 back-to-back years in college basketball that changed the current, you know, phase of college basketball. M4 says Prop 48. I didn't go to Prop 48, and I'll tell you why, because Prop 48 was here and gone. Thankfully, it went away. It was significant for a short period of time. But I went to the shot clock, which came in 1985. The 85-86 season was the introduction of the 45-second shot clock. Because prior to that, Ja, you know, look, I had stories of my father telling me about how one time Dean Smith went to the 4 corners and basically held the ball for a half. Now, I'm assuming that that's like that stuff kind of still happens in high school ball, especially in states where they don't have a shot clock. But imagine that happened in a college basketball game, right? That was 4 corners, right? The North Carolina 4 corners, where I don't know which year he did it. I think it was in the 70s, early 70s. But I just remember hearing that story. And so the shot clock came into play to basically create a 45-second pace of play. You know, now, eventually, the 45-second clock, amazingly, it lasted for a long time. It changed to a 30-second clock in the, I think it was the 2015 season, right? It changed to a 30-second clock. Now everything is pace, right? Everything is tempo. You know, you're counting points per possession. But man, remember what it was like when we went to a 45-second clock. And then it was like, wow, at least you're forcing teams to have to shoot the ball. You know, you can't do the 4 corners anymore, right? So it brought a change of pace and a strategy to it. And then I'll give you one more year. Yes, M4, the 3-point line. Yes, indeed. The 3-point line in the 86-87 season, which was the next year. Now, they had already been experimenting with the 3-point line in the ACC, in ACC ball. But if you ever go back and look at some old videos, I saw a 30 for 30 on the 1983 NC State Wolfpack, right? They had a 3-point line that kind of, the arc went through the circle at the top of the key. Kind of funky. But they eventually moved it to, I think, 1909, where basically the line touched the top of the circle, and then it kind of went in an arc, right? A little bit different than what the NBA had at the time, because the NBA had that, but then the NBA on the sides, so there was never a clear number all the way around in the NBA. But the pros the college game went to it, changed the game. I love that year because I was a big fan of my Indiana Hoosiers, and we had a deep threat shooter that year, exploited the hell out of that 3-point line. And teams who had shooters did that. And so eventually they got paranoid and said, oh, everybody's shooting. Everybody's making too many shots. Let's move it back a foot or two. And I think they moved it back to like 21 feet. I think right now it's like 21 or 22, and then it's different in the women. There's like 2. I was at the Bethune-Cookman FAMU game. There's two lines on the court, and I'm like, you know, can we just get one line here and let the women shoot from the same line as the men? Man, these girls are strong enough anyway. But those were 2 things that stood out for me. How about you? As you think about your recollection, right, of college athletics, what are some things that you think about that have been revolutionary to the sport?
I mean, in my age, the main 2 right now would be the college football playoff and NIL. Like, those are obviously the 2 largest. When the CFP first came out, I actually appreciated the idea because it was odd that just a machine was picking the 2 teams that would compete for a national championship. Like
The BC, you refer to the BCS?
the BCS, yes.
Oh, those the computers picked the national
Yeah,
championship. That seems wild, right?
Completely. I prefer the media to choose a national champ. Well, to choose the top two than a computer. And we missed out on some amazing games too, because the year Alabama and Georgia played in the SEC championship, that's widely regarded as the national championship in 2012, because whoever won that game was going to destroy Notre Dame. I think that was pretty obvious, in my opinion.
I mean, I can't argue it. Hindsight. I mean, it was at the moment. At the time, though, you couldn't have told me that. But anyway, go ahead.
And even even the year prior, the BCS chose LSU and Alabama to play in a rematch of the national championship, even though Alabama had lost. They didn't even make the SEC title. It was LSU and Florida that year, I think, something like. So I can't remember. There was another undefeated team that got snubbed. I can't remember who it was at the time. And then obviously NIL. Well, the transfer portal first before we get into NIL, as we were speaking on. At this moment, it's pretty out of control. Me and my father were talking about it before. We were thinking that a player should at least stay for 2 years at a school before transferring out, because it makes no sense to continuously give away some of these spots to players that they're knowing they're not going to stay for long. Then it's messing up our opportunities for other athletes, in my opinion. And at least at the FBS level, they have actual contracts they're signing at this point, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
So these are pretty much professional athletes, which I'm 100% for the athletes getting their money, because of how big of a business college football is, and the athletes have, I guess, been exploited for the most part, because imagine the NIL when Johnny Manziel was in college. Imagine NIL when Tebow was in college. Todd Gurley got suspended for a game for signing autographs, right? Something like that.
Yeah. There were guys who got suspended. The Ohio State quarterback, name escapes my mind. But yeah, I mean, signing autographs was like an underground taboo thing, which you know, and it was like, really, my name on a football would get me suspended for improper benefits.
Right.
Yes, there used to be that world of college athletics while everyone else was making money around these kids. And yes, and that's where the whole name, image, and likeness concept came about. My guy AD Drew in the chats, 2 things happened in 1972 that I thought were really significant. Now, Drew brought up freshman eligibility, which I had totally forgot about, because there was a time, in the 1960s, when the great UCLA basketball teams with Lou Alcindor, even Bill Walton, and they couldn't play as freshmen. They played their first year. They used to have freshman teams, which were stacked. And so you set out your first year of college because they wanted you to get adjusted to college life, right? Was, I guess, what they were doing. And then eventually you came on the court eligible to play your sophomore year. So imagine we're getting guys that are getting 6 years and 5 years, and some are even filing lawsuits to get a 7th year. But there was a time, when 3 years was your window, because your first year you were playing on the freshman team, right? Title IX in 1972. Title IX came about and said that schools had to make finances available for women's sports. And even now, it's still debated. It's taken a long time, 50 plus years, for women's sports to even get close to some of the equity of men's sports. But there was a time when, the men's sports were the major generators. And then when now you had to supply equal resources for women's sports, which was pretty significant. I was trying to, as I'm doing my research, I was trying to find the thing about Title IX that was significant. Widely praised for it increased the female participation in college sports. All right. But it also meant that, money was going to have to come from other places, right? It had to come from those revenue generating sports, i.e. football, i.e. basketball. And those were the sports that were going to have to fund these other programs. It took a while for men to kind of come around to thinking that was okay. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Terrell Pryor was the young man from Ohio State. He was a heck of a quarterback. Yes, got in trouble. I think he got popped for tattoos or something. Tattoos was another impermissible minute. I mean, John, you
crazy.
Like y'all folks your age would like blow your mind thinking about the stuff that just 20, 30 years ago. I'm not even talking about 50 years. I'm talking 25 years ago, you couldn't do in college. Like now, look at the number of guys who have ink. Like, man, it's
coming out of high school with it.
Coming out of high school. It's not cheap. But, hey, it is what it is. How about this? In 1984, the commercialization and television deals that came about. And at that point in time, in 84, right, there was a Supreme Court decision that the NCAA's control of football television rights violated antitrust laws. And they gave individual schools the autonomy to negotiate their own broadcast deals. And so what you had in the early stages was what? You had schools that would make deals with local television outlets. Then it eventually moved to conferences. And now you see the mega money that conferences make. I mean, they make millions on millions of dollars nowadays, thanks to what? Television rights. I mean, it's
yeah. It just made me look up the deal between the SEC and ESPN. This is the 10 years, $300 million a year.
Yeah, all that off the television rights, and so that was a landmark. Now that changed how people viewed the game, not necessarily how the game was played. A little bit different than maybe the shot clock or the 3-point line. Think about this. I remember a time when instant replay and officiating was just coming out because of the television, because of the influx of television rights. Then all of a sudden, instant replay came from the professional leagues down to the college level. Now it's to the point where we don't even know what a tackle is. Everything gets reviewed. Touchdowns are reviewable. I mean, we still have controversy, Drew. JaH'son, I called you Drew, but Ja, we even in the Celebration Bowl, right? It comes down to the controversy of what is undisputable evidence and what don't let your eyes view you. How old am I? Look, I've been around half a century. That's why when I did this, I thought about things that have occurred over the past 50-something years in college athletics. So, and this current era, I mean, the transfer portal changed in 2018, 2018. It used to be you had to sit out a year. Then all of a sudden the transfer portal opened up. Then COVID came about and it was like, oh, well, we need to give extra years. And so now on top of the transfer portal, which allowed guys, the opportunity to express that they wanted to leave, without fear of, they used to be kind of taboo to want to leave, because if you left, that meant you were going to have to sit out a year. Now it's, free agency, where essentially, like you said, guys are jumping in the portal just because. NIL came about in July 1 of 2021, and look what it's already done. NIL, and now we've got revenue sharing, which is the next big thing that's coming out, where now athletic departments are trying to figure out ways to share the revenue. Some schools, even some HBCUs, Jackson State is one I can think of most notably, but other schools are doing it, where they're adding a cost to ticket prices to help fund revenue sharing for student athletes. So all of that to say, Ja, and to those of you, don't get so deep in the woods about the transfer portal, the NIL world, and how it's going to ruin college athletics, because college athletics has been through changes many, many a times. Some of the things that I mentioned, you can debate on whether they were good or not. Some of them have been good. Some of them we've had to learn to live with. Some of them, they still don't even get right. Like, I swear, the instant replay thing still don't get right. APR is something that I don't think they get right. I understand what they want to do, but they might as well get rid of APR nowadays, the way it is. I guess to sort of put a bow around that, Ja, as you think about the history of college athletics, what are your just general thoughts as you think about all of those things that I kind of laid out? And is there anything on that list that you're like, man, we could have done without that change, or this is something that has really been quite significant but still needs some work?
Obviously, transfer portal. I think NIL could use some work around the edges, but for the players to bring in that much money, especially at the larger schools, I think it's only right that they get their share, especially the star players, because, like we said, those who got punished for way less, and they were making the school a lot more than what they were receiving. And I don't think there's anything that I would say we could have gone without, because all those changes did lead to the sports that the way sports are that we have are today. And I still enjoy it. It hasn't ruined my watch of anything. So I can't say we could go without any.
And with all of it, everything that occurs has its greatest impact at the top, and it takes a minute for things to kind of settle in down at the bottom. And when I say the bottom, I'm talking about the revenue and income scale. Obviously, we know who the big money makers are, but then we get down to where low resource institutions, HBCUs, sit, other FCS programs, right? We're the ones that are slowly adjusting because we don't have the considerable amount of resources and income coming in like other schools. And so that's the biggest adjustment that is happening right now in college athletics. And so I think we all have to kind of be I think this is a great period for innovative thinking from our athletic leadership. And there are some innovative thinkers out there. But it also scores that point where you really have to have a complete university buy-in to what's going on in college athletics, especially at our level. And I've heard, you hear statements from various HBCU presidents who are recognizing that the college landscape is changing, and we have to change with it. And so that's encouraging. We also see forward-thinking commissioners in these athletic conferences that are also trying to find ways to bring value, but it's a work. It's a work, and so as fans, as alums, what do we have to do? We got to support. We have to support. We've got to find ways to continue to support. The best way that we all can support, or that you can support, is if you aren't or weren't a season ticket holder, become one. If you weren't or aren't a booster club member, become one. Invest in your university athletics in 2026. If all of us find a way to invest in some way in our favorite athletic program, as alums or fans, even if you're a fan, I mean, you can get behind a school and support in that way. It's going to start to make a difference, and then, of course, when we have a chance to put our eyes on broadcasts and events, whether it be SWAC TV, ESPN Plus, HBCU Go, the HBCU, I want to say the UEN, whatever it is. When we have opportunities to watch, we have to watch and give our eyes and time, because we sure enough have enough devices. I mean, hell, I could look around my room, and probably you and yours as well, Ja. We got enough devices. So, it is what it is. But I thought I'd start the show there. Let's kind of talk about some of these HBCU. Let's transition. Let's pivot. HBCU football hirings, and we still got some open positions, and I know some folks are real. We're kind of curious to see who's open. Over the last couple of weeks in the football world, we've seen schools such as Savannah State make their hire, Hampton made a hire, Florida A&M made their hire, which then affected Albany State, who then made their hire. And I think we hit on a lot of those over the past week or so. But the most recent hire comes out of Howard University, as Howard University has, I think they have a hire, Ja. When I read this statement here from President Emeritus Dr. Wayne Frederick, he says he's pleased to announce and share that an offer has been extended to Howard alumnus and former offensive coordinator and quarterback coach Ted White for the new head football coach. Of course, the previous coach stepped down. Larry Scott stepped down to take a new position. And the first thing I read, when you read it, Ja, now again, let's keep it 100 here. This isn't the normal official statement, because look, schools are on holiday break. And it would seem to me that Dr. Frederick wouldn't put this statement out unless he was like 99.9% sure that Ted White, former Howard and MEAC Hall of Famer, was coming to be the coach at Howard University. So you can read this one way and kind of chuckle and say, well, I'm glad you're pleased to announce that you're offering a contract to somebody. But is it official? And so I've heard from Howard folk that this is official, that it will be official, rather, sometime this upcoming week. So it kind of brings, there was a great article that I read, Steve, on HBCU Game Day, Stephen Gaither, who is in the chat, WSSU Ram Nation. Great job of highlighting the fact that Ted White now becomes the third very well-known former quarterback to return to his alma mater. Woodbury at Woodbury at Winston-Salem State, Quinn Gray at Florida A&M, and Ted White. I think White, if you look at the timeline, White and Gray, I think towards the end of Ted White, his time at Howard, Quinn Gray was there for maybe Quinn Gray came into FAMU in 97. Ted White was on the way out, I believe, in 98. So they never played against each other, but they were both in the MEAC at their respective schools at the same time. What's your thoughts on the hire or any of the more recent hires, Ja?
I think everybody saw the Quinn Gray hiring coming from a mile away. I had people were talking about the game that FAMU Albany State played early this year. That was his tryout. So obviously that's a great hire. I'm sure many of the Rams are on their way to Tallahassee as well. Then we have Savannah State, who hired, and Savannah State hired Fayetteville State's defensive coordinator Thomas Howard. Savannah State has always had a great defense, especially this year, and now they're bringing in a defensive coach who Fayetteville State had a top 20 scoring defense in Division II. So I think they just build on that. I just hope that they can find some offense, hopefully, and because Savannah State has been close, especially the year prior when they found some momentum. They were the first team to defeat Clark Atlanta in 2024, and then they defeated Albany State that same year. So they had some momentum. They just need to keep building on it. And I'm not too familiar with David Bowser. I know he had some coaching history at St. Augustine, but I can't say I'm too completely familiar with his resume. But there's a lot of people that are excited about it, and I feel like I just got to wait and see.
Yeah. And Hampton has a new coach as well. May have left Hampton off the list along with Winston-Salem State. In terms of open positions, by my count, I count 4. 2 of them reside right there in Atlanta at Clark and Morehouse. And then you have Bowie State, still open position. And then Langston University in the NAIA, still open positions. So we'll wait to see kind of if those schools, and you know what's interesting, trying to fill those open positions in the midst of the transfer portal, that's going to be interesting because there isn't a second window. This is the window, this 2-week period in January. Now, there used to be some sort of clauses where if your coach left, you had an opportunity. So, but I mean, look, you have to get in. You want to get enrolled, I would imagine. Okay, D2s aren't impacted by the window. Okay, good to know. So for a lot of these schools, but okay, so what that means then is guys who are in the portal and don't end up somewhere at an FCS or an FBS school, your option ends up being to drop down to D2. Because, and the crazy part is, so let's clarify something here, and I may have gotten ahead of myself. You can get into the portal, but once you're in the portal, right, you're in the portal until you enroll at a school. So the portal window is you being able to apply to be in the portal. Then once you're there, you're there.
Yeah.
So what that means is if you don't get picked up Well, hopefully you're on your game, and maybe you got to pick up some courses at the community college somewhere, right? Maybe you have to re-enroll at the university you were in, even though you're not a part of the football program. I mean, I think I think there's this absolute when we say a kid jumped in the portal. Well, yes, he jumped in the portal, but the point is you got to try to get enrolled somewhere, right? Yeah, that's the challenge of it all. 7,000 names, Ja. 7,000 names. I want to take a second and come back after the break, and maybe if we can go through some of the names that are being most widely talked about, and then we got to get into talking about some hoops because we had the first weekend for the Division I MEAC and SWAC level, but they've been playing conference basketball games at the D2 level for a little while now in the CIAA and the SIAC, as well as the HBCU AC. So we'll kind of start to dip our toe into what college basketball is looking like. I'll be honest, Ja, when you spend 4 to 5 months focused here on football, it's challenging. Thank God for people like Live for Hoops, who she's like, look, I'm gonna focus in on this basketball. Y'all can have this other stuff. Thank God for Liv, because without Liv, I'd be lost in terms of what's going on in basketball. But we'll talk about that on the other side, and some interesting games already. Again, as mentioned, I was in the Cracker Box up in Daytona Beach, and I'm never going there again. I'm tired of watching my team take L's up there. But anyway, we'll talk about all that and more. More basketball action to come right on the other side. It's Ja and Bryan. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. Hang tight with us. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media handles. You can also drop a penny or a cup of coffee, as I like to say, via Cash App. Or if you're one of the folks that are watching on YouTube, my JBN Online, you can always leave a super chat as well. And so we want to hear from you guys in the chat. Keep it going. We'll be back in just a moment. This is the BCSN Sports Wrap on the Black College Sports Network.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically Black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
It's the 37th annual Zora Festival. It's in Edenville, Florida, Saturday, January 31st and February the 1st. On Saturday, the all-white party tribute to Frankie Beverly with May's guitarist Jubu. Bread, Sunset, and Taisha Williams. And on Sunday, the Line Dance Party Live with Jeter Jones, Mike Clark Jr., and Boss Lady Coco. Tickets available at zorafestival.org.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Brian Fulford, JaH'son Hobbs, right here. Appreciate John jumping in and filling in. AD is on assignment. He had popped into the chat for a minute, but he's probably staying busy. So shout out to Drew. Let me give a quick shout out again to Ken Rashad and his team over at HBCUsports.com. I don't know if any of you guys got a chance to peep out the pod-a-thon that he did, 12 hours of live streaming on New Year's Eve. AD was a part of that. I was a part of that. Several other media members, some athletic directors, some coaches, were all a part of that show. Dr. Cavill was a part of that. I think Charles Bishop was a part of that. But first off, I got to admit, John, I was absolutely jealous of the idea. I was jealous that, jealous is you're not supposed to be jealous. So I had to say a prayer on that one. But no, I have much respect. It was a very cool concept and idea. That they put together. And I want to say Ken was probably there for all 12 hours. I know some of the other guys were kind of in and out, but I think Ken was steering the ship for probably, if not all 12, at least about 11 hours and 45 minutes of it. And I don't know if he took bathroom breaks or not. That was kind of a couple times I logged off and came back to plug in, and there they were. They were still on, and I was like, look at these guys. And so, I mean, but did you get a chance to watch any of it, John, on New Year's Eve?
I went and watched the Drew. When Drew popped in, that's what I tuned in. Okay.
And they've been, if you follow HBCU Sports on, if you follow any of his social medias, then obviously some of they've cut up various segments. Drew's segment, which was sort of a behind the scenes of what it's like being what I grew up with Drew's position being called the sports information director. Nowadays, those titles have different names, you know, brand advancement, communications, vice president, executive, assistant, athletic director. At the end of the day, I grew up in the world where that was your SID, your sports information director. And so, because those are the people who communicate about the sports on that campus to the masses, and they coordinate with not only, see, it used to be just traditional print media, maybe TV. Now, as you know, and I would encourage you guys to go check it out, check out Drew's episode. But now it encompasses so much more. And sadly, at a lot of schools, where the resources aren't as plenty, you are a man of one. Whereas on other campuses, there may be a team of half a dozen to 2 dozen. Imagine being somewhere where you are a team of one. So it's a fascinating, if you've never heard Drew give the full breakdown of his job and his role, it's a fascinating listen. And he's very real. You know, Drew, if you watch this show, Drew is very real and matter of fact. So it is eye-opening to say the least. Is there anything that caught you as you listened to his segment? Anything that caught you by surprise, Ja, about what he does in that role?
When he broke down more of his responsibilities, I didn't know they had to find the production crew and all that until I actually started working with him at the Morehouse games, because the SIDs I've seen, once they got the info out about the game, that was it. I never really saw them do anything else. But when I saw Drew hitting the ground running, making sure everybody was in place for everything, that was the first time I've seen an SID do more than what I was exposed to early on. And I didn't know that fell on him. I did think that was all on the athletic director, but yeah, that was new to me.
Yeah, no, the athletic director hires that SID for that role, and usually, depending upon how the organizational structure is, the athletic director, the really, really good ones, recognize that one person can't do that job by his or herself. And so they do make the necessary effort to hire, multiple people to have various roles. So, yeah, appreciate Doc chiming in. The creation of the additional job titles, which then allow for, significant increases in pay grades. So appreciate Doc. Of course, he understands the inner workings of academia administration. And so, yeah, good stuff. But yeah, back in the day, I was fascinated with, look, again, I got into sports media because, look, Ja, you can tell me I could get into games for free. And then I could talk about the games and watch the games, and then maybe talk to the people who participated in the games. That's why I got into sports journalism and sports media right there. So, and then you find out all these other things about how hard it is, and then the ethics and responsibility that go around it, and then educating people is also part of it. So I love it. Okay, the transfer portal, something we've been talking about here of late. It opened on Friday. 48 hours in, We're already starting to see some big news happen. But before we get into talking about some of the movement of players, I want to get your take on Tremaine Jackson. Has kind of, this is the first year he did this, because he did this last year, but he sent out various tweets throughout the year or late last week of December, where he titled this tweet "The Panther Portal Understanding." Right now, this was part of it, and I'm looking at what part 2 is. If you have his Twitter account pulled up, Ja, see if you can find part 1. Look for part 1. I'm going to read part 2. It's almost like his rules. Like, these are the rules of engagement, so to speak, because that's what this is. This is the period of engagement between coaches and students, right? And so, the Panther Portal Understanding. I love this. I love this. Clear expectations. I'm just going to run it through. So, Coach Jackson says, 1, when I follow you, there is a 4-hour window to follow back or we're done. Now, that right there off the rip. I mean, this transfer portal thing is like dating, John. There's a little bit of dating here. Imagine young lady gives you your number or gives you her number, and she says, you have 4 hours to call me, or maybe text me. If I haven't heard from you in 4 hours, lose my number. That's hardcore.
It is.
That's like, but that's essentially what number 1 is. I mean, usually there's a 24 hours, 48 hours? I think if you get the number and you let more than 2 days go by, you aren't really serious. I'm just saying. At least that's what I've heard. Number 2, send your phone number, transcripts, and highlight in the first message. Okay. Number 3, make sure you address my staff as coach and not bro, or by first last name. I love that part. Demand respect. Ask for respect, demand it. Number 4, this is interesting. Don't ask me for NIL, parentheses, which we do have, when PFF, or Pro Football Focus, has you taking less than 150 snaps on the year on offense/defense or didn't play at all. You should have gotten your bag from the FBS. Now it's time to play. Number 6, pray, talk to your family, girlfriend, dog, or any other people before we offer you. Not after you take 80 visits. I'm going to want to know ASAP. Coach says school starts for us on January 12th. We don't have a lot of time to waste. When you talk to us, remember, we've achieved a lot. We've achieved all of the following in our first year. And he notes out the 25 SWAC championship, the 25 Western Division championship, winners of all the rivalry games, back-to-back 3.0 or greater team GPA, and that they attended the Celebration Bowl. Does that seem harsh to you, Ja? Anything seem kind of harsh, or you like the reality, hard truth that Coach gives?
The only thing that's a little harsh to me is the 4-hour window, because not everybody's on their phone like that. So it's kind of hard. I don't think I can get behind that. That's the only rule that I can't get behind. And I think my favorite rule is the not after you take 80 visits. They're gonna want to know right away. He wants players that want to play for him, and I like that. Jumping around, I think going on visits is cool and all, but if a team is serious about winning and they're interested in you, and if that's really where you want to go, then go, and don't waste their time. I really like that one.
And that, by the way, that's Tremaine Jackson, head coach of Prairie View A&M. And again, he had similar rules. He had similar guidelines a year ago. I wish I could have found the rules that he had last year. But, now when you've won in your first year, you can kind of you can kind of poke your chest out a little bit more, and you can add a few more credentials to the end of the text. Go ahead, Jai. I interrupted you though.
Oh no, you're fine. And I especially like the don't come begging for don't come asking about NIL money. He just wants players that want to play and not who aren't just in it for the money. Like they have a true passion for football, and I can support. Like I said, the only one I can't get behind is the 4-hour window I'm following.
What site are you following for NIL evaluations? Because I know the NIL evaluation, the transparency of it is something that is talked about, but it's not publicly known. I don't know if it's publicly known because I think there's legislation that they're trying to implement that requires a reporting of those numbers. But is there a site that you follow that has evaluation numbers? I know On3 does stuff.
That's the only one I really know of. I don't think 24/7 has anything to do with, doesn't have any NIL evaluations, but On3 is the only one I follow.
So let me ask, are you on On3 right now? Can you pull up their evaluations for quarterbacks? On3.com, I think it is.
Oh yeah, I got it up.
Okay. What these are NIL valuations. What are you seeing for the quarterback position? What if you just looked at maybe the top 5 guys? What are you seeing there? 5 to 10 guys. What's the highest? What's the lowest at number 10?
The highest right now is Arch Manning at 5.3 million. Then from 2 to 10, everybody's over $2.3 million.
Okay. $2.3 million. Now, as you go through some of those names, okay, and I want you to take a look at some of those names, and I'm going to ask you a question. We saw this past year, young man by the name of Andrew Body, who was the SWAC Offensive Player of the Year. I believe he was Box to Row Player of the Year. Was just recently named the Stats Perform HBCU National Player of the Year at their FCS National Awards. He only played 8 games, Ja. Mm-hmm. He put up numbers that, I mean, he had one of the outstanding opening games of the season against UAB. I don't know if on that, just do a quick search. Any chance Andrew Body is on that valuations list? And if not, where would you evaluate? Like if they came to you, Ja, and said, Ja, you've watched Andrew Body, you paid attention to Andrew Body this year. We're not very familiar with him. Where would you put his valuation at compared to some of these other guys in the top 10?
So the one I wanted to compare him to right now was going to be Trinidad Chambliss, because Trinidad came up from the Division II level last year from Ferris State, and they said his valuation at the time of December 6th was $665,000.
Less than $1 million.
Yeah, less than $1 million, and I'm sure it's way more with this run they're on right now. But
and that's the thing. Does he have another year left, or does he have another year? Is this his senior year or his last year of eligibility at Mississippi, Ole Miss?
No, I think you get an extra year when you come up from Division II. Actually, he's actively seeking. No, he's actively seeking a waiver because he's a redshirt senior now.
Okay, so if he doesn't get the waiver, this is his last ride then.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up, and you said his evaluation is less than $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
6.
But what's interesting, if you look at some of these names, right? And I'm trying to see if it shows me where they were previously. The kid at BYU. The kid at BYU. That's basketball though. Okay, hold on. That's crazy. Okay, football. Wide receiver. Hold on. Let me go quarterback. The highest paid quarterback after Arch Manning is Brendan Sorsby. And Sorsby was at North Texas. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
If you pull up his stats, man, now again, his valuation is like 3.3 mil. As Andrew Body, could we see Andrew Body? What number would surprise you? Like, if you saw Andrew Body get an opportunity at a Power 5 program or a Power 4 program, I guess there's only 4 now. Or even a group of 5. Would you be surprised if he got a mil?
No, I wouldn't, because I think he's proven that he can change a program. He's a very dynamic playmaker, and there are teams that are in need of a quarterback at the Power 4 level, and I think he can get a mil. If Trinidad got 665 from Division 2, 100%. I think Body can get $1 million.
It'll be interesting to see if Trinidad gets that extra year, because if he does, I would say he instantly becomes, his valuation skyrockets.
Mm-hmm.
Given the fact that, Arch Manning is coming back, G Boom says Body's not going to get that. But, what's the phrase? It's all up to the eye of the beholder, right? And so the person who's holding the bag, for example, I've heard people fuss at Michigan. Their high quarterback, Bryce Underwood. We know there's one particular media outlet that, or I should say the owner of a particular media outlet, that funded the large majority of money to get Bryce Underwood to come to Michigan. So if there is a school that falls in love enough with Andrew Body, now, yes, I know that he hasn't played a full season, so that might be the knock against him. But isn't that the risk you run in all of these situations?
Yeah.
He's glass. Danny's good.
Right?
You guys are cold, man. You guys are cold, man. I want to see the young brother get a nice bag. But more importantly, I want to see him get an opportunity to go somewhere where he can flourish and really shine. And I guess that's the big challenge for all of these young men, right? Now, speaking of Andrew Body at Alabama State, Ja, you got I don't know, this is breaking news or this is some your sources, and of course, if you guys aren't following Ja on social, Ja, let people know where they can find you on social, because you got a great Instagram and a great social media presence. Let them know where they need to be following you at.
You can find me at Just Ja Sports, JUSTJAH Sports, on all platforms. I'm trying to get more active everywhere else, but my main platform right now is Instagram and maybe YouTube. But you can find me at Just Ja Sports on all platforms.
All right, Just Ja Sports. Now, you just, one of his teammates from this past season, the dynamic freshman wide receiver all SWAC, first team, Jalen Jones. He jumped in the portal. Ja, you want to let the people know you just posted some info of where he just committed to. And I think that's huge.
Yes, wide receiver Jalen Jones just committed to Texas Tech, the Big 12 champs, Texas Tech. So I think that's huge for sure.
Indeed. Texas Tech was obviously a school that made it to the quarterfinals of the college football playoffs. It was widely discussed and talked about how Texas Tech had spent a lot of money on guys this past year, and they backed it up. I mean, they were a dynamic football team. Kind of unfortunate to see a great defense be sort of hampered by a subpar offensive performance in their quarterfinal game. What did they score? Did they even score, or did they get that late field goal?
I think they got a field goal.
Okay, yeah, they got a late field goal, but it was pretty much a shutout. Should have been a shutout. But yeah, Jalen Jones is reported to be going to Texas Tech. That's a big time upgrade. Some other interesting names. Now, this one is more of an HBC to HBCU transfer. And it's reported, I'm reading Stephen Gaither's article here on HBCUGameDay.com. Former Winston-Salem State quarterback Dalen Lee, who Division II, Dalen Lee, reportedly has committed to play for Tennessee State under head coach Reggie Barlow. He was a 3-year starter at Winston-Salem State. And of course, Tennessee State went 2-10 last year in the first year. Reading more from article, Lee is one of the most productive passers in program history, Winston-Salem State, where he finished with 5,616 passing yards, 55 touchdowns thrown, which is second all time. He started every game of his college career from 2023 to 2025. So we talk about durability. I know some of y'all were poking at Andrew about that, but no questions about durability from Dalen Lee. He had 15 rushing touchdowns, averaged 187.2 passing yards per game. And that will go into the Big South OVC Conference. Now, what's interesting about that commitment is I saw something yesterday, Ja, that Tennessee State had signed got a commitment from another quarterback, one of the backup quarterbacks from USF, from South Florida. Now, again, he was the backup quarterback there at South Florida, but I thought that was kind of interesting to kind of see and see how that goes. Let me see if say again.
There's nothing wrong with some competition.
Do kids want competition though, John?
No, they don't. They don't.
Thank you. I was gonna say that. Do y'all really want competition, or you kind of want the job handed to you? I know coaches want competition. Coaches want the competition, but the players, though, I just kind of wonder. I'm looking here. I'm trying to, again, I want to find the equivalent. I asked this question last week. I need to find the HBCU aggregate of portal follows, because that's the season we're in for the next 2 weeks. We want to follow the movements of guys in and out of the portal. Find out who's jumped in the portal. Most guys are retweeting it. Once they get in the portal, they kind of retweet it. But I need to find an aggregate website, because the big sites on 3, 24/7, they're not focused in on the smaller schools until a guy like Jalen Jones jumps in the portal and goes to a Texas Tech, right? But, you know, I know my guy, Marcus Green, who I do the show with on Wednesdays, the O&G Strike Zone, he has a tracking for Florida A&M players. But, you know, I gotta find something that you know, all of these HBCU guys that are in the portal, John, I gotta find that. You know, I don't know. If you guys got a site.
That's what I've been thinking that too, because like you said, with On3, the only times I see HBCU players on it is when after they committed already, because other than me contacting the players directly, I have no idea when they're entering the portal unless I see them retweet it. And like Morehouse's tight end Maurice Benet, I had no idea he was in the portal until after he committed to Vanderbilt, because I saw it on On3. I mean On3, not On3. But yeah, that is actually something we could look into. It's very hard to keep up with.
It's a little late now, I think.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's something to keep in mind going forward. Also, you mentioned going up from D2. Florida A&M just picked up a commitment from Albany State, one of many. Right? You saw that earlier today, right?
Yep. Tight end Xavier Herndon. He was all conference the past 2 years. Yep. Gray already bringing his players down.
Slowly starting to come. We're just waiting to see. I know we're waiting to see some names that I just came across. Of course, Isaiah Knowles, waiting to see what happens to him. I think I saw where Delaware State's James Jones, who was part of that awesome dynamic running back or backfield that Delaware State had. He's 6'2", 205. He ran for 958 yards and 9 touchdowns, 9.8 yards per carry. I think I saw, well, let me see. I'm looking here on HBCU Sports. They've got something from the 24/7 Sports Transfer Portal site. Let me see. Let me see if it goes to and tells you where he's got visits, because I think he does have a few visits planned already.
Yeah, it says he has visits with Cincinnati, Syracuse, and Kentucky.
Okay. Yeah, man. So big time upgrades. Big time upgrades for that young man. Congratulations. And you know, look, I think we are. Here's what I want to know from you guys in the chat. We take pride in the guys who come from HBCUs. And we obviously welcome in the guys who come to HBCUs. But with the movement, I'm curious, are we still going to hold on to that, you know, former HBCU so-and-so? I mean, there was a good article I read. I think it was on, I want to make sure, hold on, I got to make sure I say it right, because I don't want to give somebody prop, but I read an article about a former, okay, this was on HBCU Game Day. Former HBCU star shines in Ole Miss college football upset. Wally Pitt posted this article about Ole Miss defensive end Andrew Jones. Now, Jones was a standout at Grambling State, where I believe he was a SWAC co-defensive player of the year. I believe at Grambling just a couple seasons ago. I'm just kind of scanning through. I read the article earlier. Yeah, he was a co-defensive player of the year. I'm trying to see what year that was. But anyway, he had a significant role at Ole Miss in that game, if any of you stayed up. And you know what? I applaud Wally. I applaud HBCU Game Day for posting that. And so it leads me to that question, Ja. Do we still want to make sure we give those guys their flowers and praise, even though, you know, even though he came, he benefited. I don't know if he's a graduate of, he's an alum, but I don't know if he's a graduating alum, but anyway, what's your thought on that in terms of do we want to continue to recognize and shout out those guys who came, performed, and then went on to the next level?
I like to do so because I think it's about where you started, and without the HBCUs, they wouldn't have got their opportunity to show that they're capable of playing at the next level. Like Ja'Cory Croskett-Merritt, I think that's his name, for the the Commanders. He started at Alabama State, then went to Arizona State, and now he's one of the starting running backs there. I had no idea before last summer that Tank Dell went to Alabama A&M, so I was surprised by that. But I think the very fact that they're getting these opportunities based on their performances at the HBCU, I think that merits for us to hold on to them.
And it's funny you mention that, because since they don't finish before they go into the draft, that's usually not the school that he's recognized by, right? He's not. Most guys who go in, they're recognized by their last college they played at. Well, obviously, when Shedeur Sanders is now, he started for the, he's not listed as a, former Jack. No, he's listed as former Colorado Buffaloes. But we know about how dynamic he was his 2 seasons at Jackson State, right? And so if the universities, now this is the part, John, look for this. Do the universities and their athletic departments recognize these guys who move forward? Because, like you said, there's sort of we go to college, we go to HBCUs, to get the opportunity, and then to be able to show what we could do at the next level. Should the schools do more? Maybe they do, I don't know. But should the schools be a part of that recognition? Or is that more of where our independent media comes in hand?
I would like the schools to do more to show that, just so it's known. I don't think it's more so about I don't think the player has to take too much of a I would like the schools to do more. I would, to show that, like I said, to show that this is where they started, and that anybody can go anywhere, and if you're good enough, they will find you. I'm still a firm believer in that, because like before integration, wasn't like 20 something or 30 something percent of the NFL Hall of Fame was HBCU grads or former HBCU players. So yeah, I would definitely like to see the schools do more. And I think I got to retract that statement. I do think the players should do more to recognize where they started. I think that's on them as well.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting question that I think we ought to definitely take heed of. All right, let's pivot to basketball. Let's pivot to past basketball for a second. You want to take a quick break and go, or just go right in the ball?
We can go right into it.
All right, let's go right into it. Pivoting around the basketball diaspora. Let's kind of start down in the Division II level here, the CIAA, SIC, HBCU, AC. I know you got a few bullet points. Why don't you kind of hit us off and drop us off into some of the action from this past weekend? I'm gonna see if I can start pulling up some of the scoreboard and standings and kind of follow along there. What do you got?
Okay. Clark Atlanta defeated Benedict this is the men's basketball side. Clark Atlanta defeated Benedict 59-56. Center Kari Kane finished with a near triple-double. He had 8 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 blocks, and he came into the game tied third in blocks for Division II as a whole. Albany State defeated Lemoyne Owen. Cameron Evans dropped 24 points and went 5 of 5 from 3. Tuskegee defeated Kentucky State thanks to a Kasami Draper game winner. He tipped it in off of a missed shot. Nationally ranked Miles failed to Central State, and this is only the third in-conference loss for Miles in the last 2 seasons. And they're now in danger of dropping out of the top 25 rankings. For Lane College, Elijah Lewis.
Hold on, say that again. Miles' second loss.
This is their third in-conference loss over the last 2 seasons.
Okay. Wow.
I think they're
that's right, because they did go what they went 1 loss.
They went undefeated until the tournament.
Wow.
Then
all right.
Elijah Lewis from Lane College, he dropped 49 points against Spring Hill. He went 17 of 26 and 7 of 11 from three. And lastly, we have the incident with Savannah State and Morehouse. Savannah State is going to file a protest after, quote, horrible officiating on Saturday's game against Morehouse. The Tigers trailed 18-15 when Michael Swift made a layup, and the scoreboard remained unchanged, allegedly. When Swift went to the free throw line a possession later, they added the free throw, but they did not add the last layup. So those 2 points would be the deciding factor, as Morehouse would win 64-62.
Now we got some video comments here from Savannah State's coach. Now, normally we would have inside information about this game, but our guy wasn't there. He wasn't on site for this game. But the reports are that Coach Thompson was very heated in game, post game, almost to the point of hearing the reports that I've heard. There might need to be some reprimands or some sanctions, maybe even some fines for what was described to me as some of the harassing by Coach Thompson towards the people at the scores table. Now, here we're gonna play the video clip. Now, John just gave you sort of the background, right? And again, let me just play the video of Thompson. This comes from is this the clip that comes from WSAV?
Yeah.
Or huh?
Hold on, let me make sure.
I will make sure we give proper credit here to where this video clip comes from.
It's from.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mr. SIC Butter is not available to comment on this game.
Yeah. It's from WSAV. Yeah.
WSAV. Okay, let's go to the clip here.
Again, I'm one of those coaches. I usually take it on the chin and we keep moving, but tonight was horrible, and I have to do something about it because at the end of the day, I push my guys to do the best, and they did what they should tonight. The other parties should not be a part of the why, and tonight we don't know whether we got beat or whatever, because again, there were some other elements that played a part in the game tonight. The officiating was horrible, their table was horrible, and again, for me, I'm a coach and I like for young people to settle the duel on the floor and not let third-party things be a part of why we win or lose either way. And I felt like tonight that was a part of their why. And again, it is what it is. We're not at home.
All right. Well, again, Coach not too happy Now, again, that's Coach Thompson, who they won the SIAC on that very court back in March of 2025. An outstanding run that Savannah State had. Now, again, we'll have to wait for Monday to get the official statement. According to, again, the article, the news article, is that Savannah State is planning to file a protest after losing 64-62 from what they believed was a error with the scorekeeping. So we wait to see how that affects. Now, this is fresh off the wire from HBCUGameDay.com. North Carolina A&T seems to have had a similar situation, although as it's being reported here by Stephen J. Gaither, A&T coach confronted officials after the game. Now, this comes per the conference, per the CAA. This took place in Richmond, as I believe A&T was on the road. The Colonial Athletic Association has publicly reprimanded A&T men's basketball coach Monte Ross after an incident following the Aggies' December 31st home loss to Northeastern. Okay, so first off, I love the fact that this took place. Obviously, the story comes out today, but this took place on New Year's Eve, right, earlier in the week. CAA Commissioner Joe D'Antonio said Ross violated the league's sportsmanship policy late in the game, which ended with Northeastern pulling away for an 85-74 victory at Ellis Corbett Sports Complex. With 25 seconds remaining, Ross was assessed a technical foul. After the final horn, the coach confronted the officiating crew as they exited the floor, and again in the area near the locker rooms, the league said. So not only once did he approach him, but the second time is probably the one that really got you in trouble. This is from the commissioner. Says, I've spoken with Coach Ross and let him know that his actions toward the game officials were unacceptable and will not be tolerated. Any further incidents during the remainder of the season and results in a more severe penalty. The reprimand stopped short of a suspension or fine. That's interesting, but serves as a formal warning. Conference policy allows for escalated discipline and similar conduct occurs. Now, again, that's North Carolina A&T, which currently is 0-2 in CAA play. Richmond is the CAA hub. Thank you for clarifying that. What caused the discussion? I wasn't there. You have to go back and watch the videotape to kind of see what caused that. But I bring all that out to say, if the reports are true from what I'm hearing at what took place at Morehouse on yesterday, Jeff, thank you, Jeff. Correction. The Aggies are 0-3. I love you guys' honesty. While Coach Thompson may have been displeased with how things happened at Forbes Arena, the conference cannot allow a head coach to allegedly, from what I've been told, berate to the point of intimidation a scores table. The scores table are like the officials usually leave the floor immediately after the game. But guess who's stuck still on site? The score table. Because they're probably totaling up things, getting things put away. And if your coach is upset and he can't take it out on the officials, who's he turning it to? He's turning his attention towards the table. So I'll be interested to see this week how the SIAC responds to this. Now, again, first off, the protest. If it is discovered, that's where the first thing, I think both the game is on video. So I think you can go, it is recorded. There's video evidence to support any claims that points were not awarded, which is very rare. Speaking as somebody who, it's very rare that the book, the official book, and the clock both get it wrong. It's very rare. So even usually in a game situation, Ja, the officials are going to come over, and even if they pause the game, and if you listen to the game, it was very early in the game. So it wasn't like there was a whole lot of points. I mean, this was like, what, less than the first 10 minutes of the ball game.
Right.
So if the book is showing a certain result and the clock is showing a certain, I mean, very, very strange. And then, so needless to say, I guess there were some other things that occurred during the course of the game, but for 30 minutes later, for 30 minutes of action later, that kind of hung in the air. That's interesting. Any more you want to add to that, Ja?
Well, if, like you said, if what you said was true about him berating the officials, there's no room for that. But I do hope they get this. I do hope they get it settled.
Right. Looking at the standings right now on the men's side, with that, why that's an important game is over on the east side of the SIC, you have 4 teams with 5 wins. Morehouse has 3 losses. Savannah State has 4 losses. That win, had it gone to Savannah State, would put them in first place at the moment with 6 wins. So you can understand the angst a little bit by coach on that. What about the women's side of things over in the SIC?
First, Allen University went to Fort Valley and put a beat down on them. They ended up beating the Wildcats 89-39, a 50-point blowout. Peyton Jambor led the scores with 24 points and 8 rebounds. Number 24, Miles, defeated Central State 80-49, so another 30-plus point win. Benedict picked up a great win over Clark Atlanta on the road. Lane College, they maintain first place in the SIC West with a 64-59 win over Spring Hill. Albany State defeated Lemoyne Owens 72-65, and Tuskegee defeated Kentucky State 60-51.
Now, the standings on the website has Lane
behind Miles, yeah.
a half a game behind Miles over on the women's side. In the West, Miles at 8-1, 10-2 overall. Lane at 7-1 in conference play, 8-1 overall. Over on the east side, Edward Waters and Allen are tied with the most wins at 7 wins, but Allen is a half a game behind with 3 losses in the column. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that plays out. Let's jump over to the CIAA.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll start from December 31st. Lincoln defeated Wilmington 78-73. Winston-Salem State defeated Belmont Abbey College 76-68. Livingstone fell to Converse University 88-77. Elizabeth City State defeated Mount Olive 72-67. Johnson C. Smith dropped the game to Emory and Henry 87-69. Then yesterday, Lincoln defeated Queens College 82-63. Virginia Union picked up their 12th win of the season. They're now 12-1 after a win over St. Thomas, 74-64. Shaw defeated Bowie State 80-75, and Bluefield State lost to Tusculum University 78-71. And there is a game there. Elizabeth City State had a game today. I don't know what the result is yet.
And you mentioned Winston-Salem State women. The Winston-Salem State women are 11-1 overall. Their only loss, I believe, was to a Division I opponent. If I'm correct, I heard Liv mention that in one of her reports. Yeah, they lost to North Carolina A&T 74-43 back in mid-November, coming off of a 2-week, pretty much coming off of a 2-week break. Actually, it was their opening. Really, you could technically say it was their home opener. Oh, it was their season opener. And then ever since then, they've won 11 in a row. So they play Bluefield State on the 7th, which is Wednesday. And so we need to be ranked. Well, we'll see. It's a long season, but that's a pretty good win streak when you put 11 in a row up. And we'll see how the rest of the season goes. Jump over to the men there if we could there, Ja.
I actually did. I read off the men results.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry. I thought you were talking. I must have missed you. I must have missed it when you said you were talking about the okay. So let me go back then for a second. And you because you were talking about the men. Let me go to the men's standings here. The men's standings right now. Okay, so Virginia Union is the team that has won 12 in a row on the men's side. They are currently 12-1, 2-0. They opened, let me see. Let's see who they opened their season against. Well, it doesn't. I'm looking at the CIAA website. It doesn't show who they opened their season. But Virginia Union.
Cowan.
Say again.
Cowan.
Oh, that's who they. That's who they. Yeah, that's who they lost. So they lost their season opener to Shawan, and then they've won 12 straight, right?
It was actually. Oh no, you're right. I looked at the women's. I got the sites mixed up again.
That's all right. I'm right there with you. So see again. We just trying to get our feet. We're trying to get our feet stabilized here because that's the challenging thing when you got men, you got a women's side, you got a men's side, and then you're trying to get the sites figured out, and yeah, it takes a minute. So bear with us.
Millersville, yeah, it was Millersville in the season opener.
Okay, yeah, that one wasn't on there. So so the upcoming schedule shows that Virginia Union's next game is actually on Tuesday. They will travel to Shaw. Yeah. Karen said, don't forget about Langston. We how can I forget about Langston, our good friends in the NAIA? Let me go and see what I know they got a win the other day. Let me go to the Sooner Athletic Conference, which is home to Langston University, Langston basketball, and just kind of looking in the conference right now. Langston's men are 12-2 overall, 6-1 in conference play, sitting in first place. Unbeaten at home, unbeaten on the road. Those two losses came on a neutral site. So that's the men. And then let me take a look over on the women's side. I think Langston's women got off to a good start. Langston's women, they too are 12-2, but they are sitting tied in first place for the most wins in conference play with 6, but they're half a game behind a pair of schools, Nelson and Science and Arts, who those two schools only have 1 loss. But Langston's women 12-2 overall. I don't have next show we'll do a little bit better in terms of getting our rankings down, because at some point, John, we got to figure out look, if you don't have your own rankings, then you got to figure out whose rankings that you're looking at. And I was talking to Drew earlier. I know Drew said he's getting our BCSN rankings put together. I was trying to find Liv's rankings, couldn't find them. I got to talk to Liv about that and be like, where are you posting your rankings at, Liv? But couldn't find them easily, after searching for about 5 minutes. But anyway, you got all kinds. That's the one thing about football, John. You can kind of make it a lot simpler. But see, everybody's got basketball. Everybody's got a ranking. Everybody's got a poll. So trust me, we'll eventually have one too. Let's jump into Division I. Let's jump into the Division I level with the women, the SWAC women. Now, the SWAC women, again, are doing, again, the Thursday solo, Saturday doubleheader. Okay, that's what's happening over in the SWAC. And then the men are doing doubleheader Saturday and the solo on Monday. So the season started January 1 for the women, and you can see those scores right off the bat there to open the season. I know, Southern has been the team that people have been most excited about based on what they've done in the non-conference, but I believe that Mississippi Valley State was you might want to call it an upset. I mean, Valley coming into the game was 1-10. Valley was 1-10, but they beat Alabama A&M in overtime, I believe it was 74-72. You can see there, Texas Southern's women got a 3-point win over Grambling State's women, and then Alabama State got a 71-65 win over UAPB. Then on Saturday, let me go to the women first. On Saturday, you got a full slate of games. All 12 teams are in action. The 2 rival schools that didn't play on Thursday, Florida A&M, Bethune-Cookman, Alcorn, and Jackson State. Ja, those might have been the 2 most exciting games because I can tell you that I was in attendance at Moore Gymnasium for that FAMU Bethune-Cookman game, and all I can tell you, Ja, is the hardest job of any basketball player is being the inbounder with no timeouts in your pocket.
For sure.
There is no tougher job in basketball than being an inbounder with no timeouts. And so with the score, FAMU leading 56-55 with about 7.2 seconds remaining, sideline near half court on the FAMU side, so not far away from, but unfortunately Florida A&M did not have any timeouts left. And so as the Rattlers were trying to inbound the ball, they had one young lady that cut backcourt, and you had 3 others in the front court, meaning your half of the floor. And you would think, Ja, the one place you don't want to throw the ball when you have no timeout in a 1-point ball game with 7 seconds is which direction, Ja?
The backcourt.
Yeah, towards the other team's basket.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that's what happened. And the worst possible outcome occurred is that the ball was stolen. And then it became a 2-on-1, and Bethune-Cookman scored with 2 seconds remaining. had the inbounder thrown the ball to her right towards her basket instead of left, even if a teammate doesn't come up with it cleanly, there's maybe a scramble. The clock starts rolling. Exactly. Exactly. You get my drift. The clock starts rolling. Needless to say, she makes the basket. FAMU ends up losing 57-56. I swear I watched a similar outcome a year ago. Well, it wasn't exactly a year, but it was in March. The last time Florida A&M's women were at Bethune-Cookman. Totally upsetting. But even probably as frustrating as that one might have been the frustration that Jackson State fans had against Alcorn State. Going into the fourth quarter, Jackson State had a 41-33 lead at the end of the third quarter. A game that was pretty tight. I mean, Jackson State and Alcorn, it was a 1-point ball game at half. Did she go off, Coach? No, she didn't go off. It was more bewilderment and frustration. It was that look. And I think part of that, Emmett, was, I don't know why, but Coach had sort of instructed her teammate to throw it that direction towards her point guard, who was backcourt. But again, not having a timeout hurt. But anyway, so that's probably, I think she was more shocked and embarrassed more than anything. But anyway, back to the Alcorn State Jackson State women's game. Alcorn closed out the game on a 16-4 run. Closed the fourth quarter out, outscoring Jackson State 16-4. Got a 49-45 victory to improve to 4-8 overall, 1-0 on the season. Alcorn got 21 points from Kiara Henderson. Got 21 points from Henderson. Nakia Cheatham got 12 points. 12 points as well. I didn't follow the exact totals, but Jackson State down the stretch in the fourth quarter, 2 of 10 from the field, 0 of 6 from the three-point arc. In total, made 18 turnovers in the ball game. While Alcorn State, just a little bit better, 6 of 15 from the field, 2 of 8 from the three-point arc, 2 of 3 at the free throw line, only committed 12 turnovers in total. So Alcorn gets the win to move to 1-0. Bethune gets the win to move to 1-0. Alabama A&M rebounded with a 72-49 victory. Grambling State women rebound, got an 85-60 victory over Prairie View. Valley's unable to put 2 in a row together. Alabama State handles them 83-50 for their second consecutive win. And Southern with nearly a 20-point victory as well. Any comments, Ja, or let's jump over to the men? You're on mute. You must be on mute. I lost you. Hello? I'm going to wait on you to figure out your audio. Right now, I'm showing you on mute. There you go. Got you now.
Okay. I was just going to read off the standings. Southern is sitting at the top with 6-7 overall, 2-0 in conference, followed by Alabama State, who's also 2-0 in conference. Followed by Alcorn 1-0, Bethune 1-0. Texas A&M, Alabama A&M, Grambling, and Valley are all 1-1. Then UAPB, Jackson State, Prairie View, and FAMU to round it off. But the only thing I'm noticing, I know they're just now getting the conference play, but everybody's under 500 at the moment, and obviously that's going to change as we get closer to tournament time.
Pull up the schedule for the week. Take a peek at the schedule for the week. Any interesting matchups again that come up starting on Thursday for the women and then on Saturday?
Southern and Bethune. Well, actually, no. Well, I'll say Southern Bethune mostly because they're both undefeated in the conference.
It's Thursday. That's Thursday, right?
That's Thursday. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see.
And then Bethune and Grambling play on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
All right. How about Jackson State and Alcorn? Who do they have upcoming?
Jackson State has Alabama A&M on Thursday, then Alabama State Saturday.
Where is that Jackson State Alabama A&M game? Where is that at?
Huntsville.
Ooh, okay. That'll be a good one.
Yeah. Then Alcorn has Bama State Thursday, then they also travel to Huntsville on Saturday.
All right, so you got the Alcorn Jackson State pairing going to the Alabama schools. So yeah. All right, jumping over to the men. The men, now again, the men's season opened on Saturday. And then they will play their second game tomorrow on Monday. But you can see some of the scores. Grambling 76-72 over Prairie View. Missed out on a 7.5-point cover for Grambling. Just watch that game. That was brutal. Alabama State with a 20-point win over Mississippi Valley, 89-69. Southern with a good 84-73 victory over Texas Southern. Bit of a surprise. Alabama A&M was about a 1.5-point road favorite, but UAPB with a 95-83 victory. Jackson State get an 89-86 win over Alcorn, and then the battle between former NBA players turned HBCU coaches, Reggie Theus and Charlie Ward. Good ball game. Rattlers come up short. Bethune-Cookman comes up with an 87-83 victory. What's the schedule look like for on Monday? If I'm not mistaken, everyone should be playing except Bethune, Florida A&M, Alcorn, and Jackson State.
Yes, I think that's the case. It's Grambling. Texas Southern is going to Grambling. Alabama State is going to Pine Bluff. Prairie View is going to Southern, and A&M is going to Valley.
Right. Okay.
I think the most interesting matchup will come on Saturday between there's two. A rematch of the SWAC championship last year with Jackson State and Alabama State in Montgomery, and then Grambling State traveling into Bethune, as I think they're both sit right now in the top 3 of the conference.
Okay. According to Liv for Hoops, our good friend Liv, Deshaun Ruffin for Jackson State had 31 points and 8 assists in that game for Jackson State. Jaquan Scott of UAPB had 24 points, 8 rebounds. Michael Jacobs of Southern, 27 points and 6 rebounds. And Micah Simpson of Alabama State had 25 and 3. Those are just some of the top performers. Make sure you're following our girl Liv for Hoops at Liv for Hoops, LIVFOR Hoops. She does a great job of keeping everyone updated on what's going on. And then obviously the SWAC going into for the men after they play on Monday, the 8 teams that'll play on Monday, they will pick up and play Saturday. Saturday, you got a full slate of games. Again, the Mississippi schools are traveling to Alabama. The Louisiana and Florida schools are playing each other. Appreciate you, Edwin, for popping that in there. I see that. UAPB traveling to Texas Southern, Valley traveling to Prairie View. And so it'll be kind of easy to follow along through this Thursday through Monday stretch. Many of these games you can find on SWAC TV. So I encourage you, if you're not already a subscriber, to put that in your plans to follow. Let's go over to the MEAC, Ja. Let's take a look at the MEAC here. First off, on the women's side of things, 2 of the bigger matchups occurred with Howard University. Howard's women, one of the top teams, one of the top mid-major women's teams. I think they are highly ranked. I think they're in the top 25 of the mid-major polls. I don't know how high they are. I follow Liv's updates, but Howard's women are definitely an outstanding squad. They got a 68-64 win over South Carolina State on the road. Senior forward Zania Thomas recorded a double-double for Howard in that victory. And then you can see the other game, which was kind of interesting, the defending champs, Norfolk State, under a new coach, got a 68-48 victory, big-time win on the road against North Carolina Central. The Lady Spartans are now 6-10 overall. A couple other MEAC scores. You had Coppin State with a 60-59 victory at Delaware State. Kalia Morris had 26 points and 13 rebounds. Both of those were career high for her in the victory. Coppin State moves to 3-13 overall, and Delaware State falls to 3-13. Maryland Eastern Shore got a 68-61 victory over Morgan State, as both teams open up their play. Maryland Eastern Shore led in scoring by Ashanti Lynch with 23 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, and an assist. She shot 58% from the field in that contest. So congrats to them. Any updated schedule? What's the schedule look like for these MEAC schools on the women's side?
On the the women don't play again until Thursday. You'll have North Carolina Central going to Baltimore to play Morgan State. Maryland Eastern Shore going to Norfolk, Virginia. Delaware State's traveling to Howard, who Howard sits at the top of the women's side, if I'm not mistaken. Then South Carolina State going to Coppin. Then on Saturday, North Carolina Central plays Coppin. Norfolk State plays Delaware State. Howard to Maryland Eastern Shore, and South Carolina State to Morgan.
All right. Good stuff. Over on the men's side of things, South Carolina State getting a 1-point victory over Howard University at home. South Carolina State had a 50-20 first half lead and basically got tracked down by Howard, in that second half. But South Carolina State got 24 points from Jaden Johnson in the victory. He was 9 of 15 from the field, 2 of 13 from the arc in 35 minutes of action for Howard. Howard had 3 guys in double figures, led by OC Akoji. Maybe I said that right. Just kind of looking here real quick at the final results to see how that game kind of went down at the end. South Carolina State got a jumper on the buzzer beater. Jaden Johnson gets the win to give South Carolina State the victory there. So congratulations to South Carolina State, Jaden Johnson with the game winner. Nice job. So outstanding performance there in the MEAC. And then also another nail-biting performance came there. North Carolina Central gets a 69-67 victory over the defending MEAC champs. Those games are always classic, man. North Carolina Central and Norfolk State, they play classic games. It's like those games should never be played when students aren't on campus. I don't know what the crowd was like. I guess I can look at the box score, but that game should always be played in front of crowds, because I guarantee those teams will play at the end of the season, and it's always one of the best atmospheres to watch. But next time it'll be at Norfolk State, obviously. Corey Carvey had a 24-point, 11-rebound performance for North Carolina Central. In the ball game, Carvey shot 56.3% from the field. It was his 4th double-double of the season. Also, Joe Slack had 11 points for Central, along with Gage Lattimore, who had 14 points and 7 rebounds. Also in the MEAC, Coppin State got a 53-51 win over Delaware State, and Maryland Eastern Shore with a 66-49 victory over Morgan. So there you go. Anything else you want to add there on the basketball tip there, Ja?
I just wanted to give a personal shout out to my guy Dorian Staples at Maryland Eastern Shore. He just transferred up there from Miles. Had 16 points in their win over Morgan. So yeah, just want to give a shout out to him.
Okay, that's what's up. All right. Well, what are we looking forward to this week, John? Let's just, as we end the show, we don't want to be here for too long here. It's getting time to close out and get out of here. What is maybe a New Year prediction, or maybe a resolution that you have for yourself as it relates to whether it be HBCU Sports, a particular school, anywhere you want to go with it, Ja?
My goal for at least the platforms that I'm a part of is to just continue to spread the HBCU news as much as possible, to continue to get it to a wider array of audiences, and to have people take our brand of sports or our brand of anything more seriously. And then personal goals, I would like to do a series where I travel around to the different schools and give a full breakdown of the facilities that we do have, because a lot of people are under the impression that we are underfunded, but we still make do with what we have, and still a top tier facilities that we have. So I want to showcase that as well.
All right. I like that. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Sound like a traveling tour. Where are you thinking about you would start? Which way are you going to start?
I want to start in the SIAC first, because that's where I mainly do my reporting. But
first, Brandon's better too.
Yeah, I want to. So I do want to. I will probably start in the. I want to start at Albany State because that's where I first. That's where I was introduced to HBCU sports first. So that's where I want to start.
Nice. Well, make sure you're following at Just Ja Sports on Instagram. That's where you can find Ja. And for anybody, those of you who saw the year in review, the top plays of 2025, whether you saw it on our social media page or whether you saw it on Dr. Cavill. So Ja was the producer, and I think he was the voice in that as well. But Ja does outstanding work. And so, please make sure to follow and support this young brother because he's the next one. So he's doing a great job out there, and we're very blessed and fortunate to have him working with our team. I put this out there to, and kind of I put it out there, John, in terms of predictions. I don't really have any predictions for the upcoming year. I will say this, though. Softball and baseball. I'm telling you now, baseball is running back through the state of Florida again. Prediction. Baseball in the SWAC is running back through the state of Florida. And I got a feeling softball might as well. That's a little homerism. I know it sounds like you guys hate me sometimes, but, right now. Oh, and track and field, we coming for y'all, Alabama State. I'm telling y'all. The Rattlers are coming for y'all. I'm just coming for Alabama State. No, but my biggest thing for this year is support. And that's what we need from all of you. You saw the Potathon by Ken. We're going to try to we always try to advance a little bit more. So in 2026, we're definitely going to look to kind of add some things to our collection. Maybe hopefully we can finally get our merch store up. Maybe we can finally do some advancements with our websites. And try to continue to push the stories and push the video element that our HBCUs have out there. And so in order to be able to do that, I know it feels like sometimes we ask a lot, but we need your support. So any chance you get to share our shows that are on the Black College Sports Network, it helps. Whenever you get a chance to go download the BCSN Pod Zone, the podcast, do that. BCSN Pod Zone on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast. It's helpful. So it all helps. We appreciate the thumbs up. We appreciate the likes, however you're consuming the content. And, we keep trying to get better every week. That's the name of the game. So that's going to do it for this show. Make sure you find Ja on social media at Just Ja Sports, JUSTJAH Sports. Right?
Correct.
There it is. Hit the thumbs up and a like button out the door. Thanks to the chat. And thanks to all of you watching us on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTubes, and on Facebook. We appreciate you watching the BCSN SportsWrap. Hopefully, A.D. Drew I know he's dealing with some stuff. He's coming back from being away, and all of a sudden he's just got stuff to deal with. But that's just the nature of the beast, right? But hopefully he'll be back next Sunday. And that's going to do it. So for Ja Hobbs, I'm Brian Fulford. Thank you for watching the BCSN SportsWrap tonight. Good night. God bless all of you. Have a great week. And, hey, be blessed. Happy New Year, everybody. Peace out.